Hi, Salams. Today on this episode, I have with me Shazia Imam, speaking from Texas, in Dallas, Texas. She is an award-winning speaker, ICF certified coach, and host of the top 12 podcasts, Feminine and Fulfilled. After experiencing her own life fall apart after losing her son and then husband, Shazia realized it was a divine push to begin living her real life. This blossomed into finding her soulmate, discovering her feminine power, and living her deep purpose. One which involves women unleashing their whole selves to feel fulfilled, happy, and whole. Isn't life more fabulous that way? Ah, Shazia, welcome. And
Thank
any
you so much.
woman, and especially any Muslim woman who's on this path to helping other women fulfill their divine feminine, to come into their own, to find the purpose of life, is a friend of mine. So it's such a pleasure to have you today, speaking
Thank
on
you for
Rahmat
having me.
Rose. So let's get started. And I was really excited to speak with you. And first of all, my condolences, on having lost your son and your husband. Um, and and I'm glad that you will be able to share this with me and that you've processed enough to be able to share this with us today.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify. I was thinking recently, I'm like, I think I need to shift my bio a bit
Mm,
because we lost our son,
mhm.
but our marriage fell apart. So I lost
Ah,
my husband. The grief was in losing the marriage, which of
mm,
course we can touch on. And actually, at the time that we're talking now, Rose, my father passed away
mm.
recently as well, which was quite unexpected, and the grief process was actually quite different. So it's been a really interesting
Yeah,
journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
My condolences on the loss of your father as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So as a result of this, it sounds like you've been through some very difficult times. You've been pushed to explore your inner self, perhaps more than other people due to these tragedies. So could you tell me a little bit, um, when do you remember first starting getting interested in spirituality in general? Before we get into healing, when did you get interested in spirituality?
So spirituality for me, I would say, came in two phases. So I
Hmm.
was born Muslim into a Desi South Asian family, and I was born and raised in the United States. So my experience growing up in the 80s and 90s as a Muslim in a small white town was going to the masjid, having potlucks, having a community, and so definitely that was a part of my identity. Being Muslim was part of
Hmm.
my identity. But because I grew up in, like I said, a small town, I was
Hmm.
one of very few brown people. I also took on an identity of being white. I thought I was white until I was in college, to be honest. So for me, I always felt that there were two parts of me, and I just lived like that. So for me, I didn't really find my own sense of
Hmm.
spirituality until I was about 22. It was my
Hmm.
senior year of college. And then I found it again at 30
Hmm.
after my son passed away and my marriage fell apart. I definitely came to a very spiritual
Hmm.
relationship with Allah. So I've always felt very close to Allah, but I've definitely transitioned from the halal haram of Sunday
Hmm.
school to then learning more about my deen in college, becoming practicing, putting on the hijab when I graduated, um, and then moving into that deeper sense of connection and
Hmm.
reflection when I turned 30 and
Okay.
beyond.
So
Yeah.
could you tell us, if you're willing, what happened when you were 22, other than kind of learning more about Islam?
Sure. So there was this guy that I had met, and I got really excited. He was Muslim, he was
Mm,
also Desi, and I was so excited because I thought, oh my gosh, here I am. I'm going into my senior year of college, and he's going to be the guy, and I will check off all the boxes of
mhm,
doing the thing I'm supposed to do as a Muslim girl and in our community. You
mhm,
get the degree, you get married, you you marry another Muslim, Desi, and then you live that white picket fence dream, good
mhm,
jobs and buy a house and all of the things. And unfortunately, it turned out that he had a mental illness.
Mm.
I don't think I've ever shared this story actually publicly. So here I am just thinking my fantasy is going to be fulfilled. Prince Charming has
Mm.
come and he has a very severe mental illness. And
Mm.
even knowing that, even finding that out, I thought, well, it's okay, but he checks off all the boxes and
Mm.
who else is going to marry me? I thought nobody would want to be with me.
Mm.
I'd always been a rebel. I definitely was a nonconformist. So the idea of a desi guy being into me just felt like I had hit the jackpot.
Mm.
So, everything happens to us for a reason. And I believe he came into my life specifically because he gave me this book. He gave me this book, and I don't even remember the name of it, subhanAllah. But in just the first few pages, it said something to the effect of, if you are spending more attention, paying more attention, or spending more time, or giving more priority to something other than Allah, then you are an idolater.
Mm.
And it just kind of hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, whoa, what am I doing with my life? And now that I say that, it sounds very harsh, right? I don't subscribe to that. But at that time, we're on our journey. And
Mhm.
so I thought I've got to change.
Mm.
So as senior year started, what had actually happened is there was a new community that had come up at my university too, because I did try to join the Muslim Student Association my freshman year, but they were all these international
Mm.
male students. I mean, it didn't fit me. They were talking about whether music is halal or haram. I mean, come on, I'm a freshman in college. Like, that's not what I want to be talking about. So by the time I hit my senior year, there were two women who had come together and they were reviving a real undergraduate Muslim feel.
Mm.
And so, again, timing, it's all about timing. So I joined and it was wonderful. It was a
Mm.
new group of students, so many of us really coming back to our deen. It was also post 9/11. We're literally talking about that same time frame.
Mm.
So a lot of things are happening at once. And so I just got really involved. There
Mm.
was a community of sisters. There were 9 of us. We're still bonded. 2
Mm.
decades later, we're
Mm.
still so close. And yeah, it was just a lot of learning. It was almost like starting over again. And
Mm.
so that's where I started really deepening my learning and
Mm.
understanding outside of what I'd learned in Sunday school, but
Mhm.
also feeling that community at where I was in my life at that point.
Mhm.
And that was very important to be on that journey with others.
Mhm.
That's what I needed at that place.
Yeah, community, it sounds like, was really fortifying in your spiritual experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming back to the masjid, feeling
Mm.
that to the point that, yes, when I graduated, I did put on hijab. All of the
Mhm.
women in our group, we all put on hijab. I was the last. I said, no, I
Mhm.
really have to feel this out. I never,
Mhm.
ever, ever thought I would wear hijab.
Mm.
Like I had, I was the girl with the pixie cut with purple streaks in her hair. Hijab just didn't seem like something that would
Mhm.
be of interest to me. I liked it for others,
Mm.
but again, our path, it's so interesting. So at 22, I graduated, I put on hijab, and my dad was so angry with
Mm.
me. My mom was like, do whatever. But my dad really said, now you're going to lose all these opportunities. You had the whole world in front of you and you're becoming an extremist. So it's really interesting because
Mhm.
people thought my dad was making me wear it. And in fact, my dad was so upset about it. So there's these nuances, even within our community,
Mhm.
that I've noticed that non-Muslims don't really understand. It's not
Mhm.
just you do things a certain way. So even that was part of my journey in saying, Dad, I
Mhm.
really do want to wear this. And subhanAllah, 2 weeks after I started wearing hijab, I got 3 job offers in the
Mm.
worst market. So again, all of these things, part of the journey, such clarity in this was the right path. I was
Mhm.
doing the right thing and going from there.
Beautiful. And I love that he had purple hair. I also had purple hair back in high school, as well as green and blue hair. So I love that fellow colored hair. Aficionado. Beautiful. And I think MSAs, Muslim Student Associations, for many American and Canadian Muslims, are often really important places that play a pivotal role in them finding religion, spirituality away from home, away from from the mosque setting. So that's important. That
Mm-hmm.
also for you, it played that role.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned then at the age of 30 when you lost your son. Would you be willing to share more about that? And again, I can't
Yeah.
imagine having had my son at 31. I just couldn't imagine what it would be like to lose your son.
Yeah, it was very devastating. So at 28, we lost our baby boy, and it was very unexpected.
Hmm.
Very, very unexpected. And my marriage started to unravel, understandably, after that. And it's interesting because losing my son was so difficult, but losing the marriage was
Mm-hmm.
actually harder. It was harder because it really points to the pressure that we have as a community for our lives to look a certain way.
Hmm.
And I couldn't imagine failing. That's what I thought it was. I thought it
Hmm.
was failing. And so I'm going through all of this. I'm at the lowest point in my life, the lowest point. I mean, to the point where I would drive around and I would wish a car would come hit me and then I would die because I didn't think my life had
Hmm.
any value. I thought it was worthless. Um, I
I
lost
can
my
feel that.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost, now my marriage is ending. What's my worth?
Hmm. Hmm.
So in 2010, I had turned 30, and a dear friend of mine, Zora, she told me about this program called Rihla.
Hmm.
And Rihla is this 3-week spiritual journey that you take. It's in all sorts of places around the
Hmm.
world. And it was coined by Sheikh Hamza Yusuf.
Hmm.
And what he wanted to do is he wanted to create the opportunity for people to have, in Islam, there is this idea of if you go away for 40 days, if you inculcate a habit for 40 days, like that's how it really lasts.
Hmm.
So he wanted to take Western Muslims and give them this opportunity to learn their fard al-ain, like the
Hmm.
basics of Islam. And it's surprising because even when you think you know a lot of things, we actually don't know the basics.
Hmm.
There's so much to relearn. So it was going to be in Spain, 3 weeks in southern Spain in the mountains and
Hmm.
Granada. So Zora says, Shazi, I really think you should go to this. And I thought, Zora, you've got to be kidding me because my husband has pronounced divorce and we're going into the iddat period, and my iddat period will end while I'm in Spain. Are you kidding me? I have to save this marriage. I can't go. I can't go. And she's like, you have to go. Just go. And I don't know. I listened to her. I really valued her. And again, Allah's always putting things in your path. So I filled out the application. I was accepted. And I was dreading it, dreading it, dreading it. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. And when I arrived, because I did go, I found myself being very much of a loner.
Hmm.
So I've already shared with you how much community matters. I am an extrovert, and I get to the program where literally, like, the women were staying in a barn, okay, an old stable, basically, with all these bunk beds. You are around people, but I didn't want to talk to
Hmm.
anyone. I was just in my own place. I came truly to just receive whatever I was meant to, because
Hmm.
my life was at its end, I felt like. And I
Hmm.
was thinking, what am I doing here? Why am I here? What is going on with my life? Everything is out of control,
Hmm.
everything. And so I would just be wandering. I would wander the mountains, and I would just come back for meals, and then I would wander. And I remember one day making dua to Allah, and I just said, make this clear, make it
Hmm.
easy. Why do you have me here? Just really crying out, in those moments where you really, like, there's nothing else.
Hmm.
And I remember just making this dua and then going for lunch. And I sat next to this woman, this older woman who was from Australia. And I don't know why I started telling her my whole story. And so she's listening and she says, there's somebody you need to meet. And I
Mm.
said, okay. She said, the Sheikh of Dr. Omar bin Abdullah is here from
Mm.
Gambia, from the
Ah, Sheikh
Gambia.
Mohammed, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And she said, he's here for one day and you need
Mm.
to meet him. And I said, okay, I don't know who he is. Like, this was my first foray into the
Mm.
spiritual,
Yeah.
more of the, I'm using air quotes, but the spiritual part of the Islamic community.
No, this is great
So,
to hear how someone from kind of more mainstream community got exposed. So keep on going, please.
yes. So she sets it up. She's like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but let's try. So she
Mhm.
gets it set up. So I meet with him and he doesn't speak English at
Mhm.
all. And she said, the manners in which that you speak to a scholar or, a sheikh of this level is to just ask, what advice do you have for me?
Mhm.
So I went with one of the volunteer coordinators, Zainab, and she speaks Arabic. And so I just sat there and I guess he asked her, why is she here? What
Mhm.
does she want? I don't even know what he asked because it was in
Mhm.
Arabic. And I just asked, well, what advice do you have for
Mhm.
me? So he looks at me and he gives me this word.
Mm.
So this word is, a compilation of dhikr and for me it was dhikr and two surahs, okay,
Mhm.
to read.
So to translate for people who don't know Arabic, a zikr is as Sufi remembrance or remembrance of God, and Sufis
Yes.
have formulaic prayers that they repeat in order to purify their hearts more. Mhm.
Yes. And we even have dhikr, like even
Mhm.
mainstream Muslims, like after you
Mhm.
pray, you'll
Yeah.
repeat like
Mhm.
Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah. So he gives me something very specific. It's a word. So when it's like compilation of
Mhm.
these different things, it's a word and it's specific to you. And as soon as he said it, because he said, say, Ya Allah 111 times, say Ya Wadud 111 times. And I
Mm.
knew what Ya Wadud meant, the most
Mhm.
loving. Ya Allah, of course,
Mhm.
Allah, oh, the most loving. And then recite Surah Inshura and Surah, I can't think of the name, Idha Ja Nasrullah, Surah Nasr.
Mm.
Okay. So as soon as he says this, I already know Surah Inshura. This is the surah that says, verily, with every hardship, there
Mhm.
are eases. And it
Mhm.
repeats itself. Verily, with every hardship, there are eases. And I just started crying
Mm.
because I knew, I was like, God, he sees into my soul. Like,
Mm.
and the thing is it wasn't him. It was that Allah had sent this,
Mhm.
right? It was, I had cried out and then Allah had sent the response. Oh,
Mm.
I'm going to start crying again. And I knew in that moment that I was really taken care of, like
Mm.
that Allah loved me.
Mm.
And I felt it deeply. And so I said, okay. And that was it. The meeting was done.
Mm.
And so I started reciting this word every
Mm.
day. And I decided it's like it gave me the relief to be like, I don't have to control anything. There was
Mm.
nothing for me to control. And so I let go completely. And this point was pivotal for me to understand that our relationship with Allah is not transactional. I speak a lot about this with my clients. It's not transactional. We don't do something, we're not good, and so Allah
Mhm.
responds. We just are, and then Allah is there.
Mhm.
And that is what I felt, that Allah was taking care of me in this hardest of time in my life. And that set me on a
Mm.
beautiful spiritual journey. That still to this day, I feel so connected to
Mhm.
Allah, not because of the things I do. I mean, I
Mhm.
am practicing, alhamdulillah, I'm observant, but I feel connected with Allah through nature, through conversation,
Mm.
through just the miracles that I see,
Mm.
the knowing that I have that truly I can let go because Allah has it taken care of. And so much
Mm.
has opened up for me since.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Shazia. And would you say that your healing path coincides and is intertwined with your spiritual path?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I really, I'm like, how long do you have? Like, I mean, the story of my life is so fascinating because after that moment, um, where I truly, I felt like Allah
Mhm,
had sent me this message. I, I found that once I let go, life started moving
mm,
very rapidly for
mm,
me. So to finish that story,
mhm,
because I did mention I was right in the iddat period, which
mhm,
means for Muslims, this is a period where it gives the time to reconcile.
mhm,
You have this, 3-month period. And if you reconcile in this time, then you're still together. And if you don't, then the
mhm.
divorce is final. And I think it's such a beautiful thing to allow people to come back.
Yeah. Actually, and technically, it's also to make sure the woman is not pregnant too.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
I'm not into all the technical anymore,
yes,
but yes,
yes.
you're right.
My scholar coming back for a moment.
Yes,
Scholar
you are
personality.
correct. You are correct. So when I came back, the divorce was final.
Mm,
And I don't know what my former husband thought,
mm,
but he thought that we were good. So he
mm,
called me when I had arrived
mhm,
back, um, thinking he was going to pick me up from the airport. And I said, well, we're divorced. Like, we're not together. And I actually didn't tell anybody about
mm,
this. And I lived out of my car
mm.
for about 2 months
Wow.
because, again, the shame, I was still so
Mhm,
worried about the shame. So I lived out of my car. Um, it was right, Ramadan was right around that time too. It was in that season. And it was just a very spiritual Ramadan.
mm,
And it was the freest I'd ever felt in my life because actually nobody knew where I was.
mhm,
And there is a part of me that's a little bit of a loner. It's really
mhm,
interesting because I'm such an extrovert and I
mhm,
love people so much. But there's a part of me that when I can be alone, I feel a
mhm,
freedom that I don't when people are like, well, where are you? What's going on? What's happening?
mhm,
And so I was completely on my own. And when I let him know, because then he called me again, a few months later, and he's like, I want to try to work things out. And I said, well, we're done, and then he said, oh, okay, but I want to be with you. I want to be with you. And this whole time he had been not wanting to be with me.
mhm,
So here it is. I let go completely. And now he wants me back. So it's very interesting. So we did get back together. I'll just do this Cliff Notes version. We did get back together for a few years and then
mm,
ultimately ended, alhamdulillah. And
mhm,
that was the right time for us.
mm.
But yes, that was part of
Congratulations.
my healing journey. Thank you.
Mm,
That was part of my healing journey. It's
mm,
almost as though Allah knew, like, she needs baby steps.
mhm.
She needs gentleness.
Yeah.
She needs tenderness. Like, we can't just all of a sudden do everything
Mhm,
all at once. And that worked for me because by the
mm,
time it ended again, so actually, for people on the inside, I'm like, I'm on my third marriage now because we had to
mm.
have our nikah again, right? So I married him twice.
I love it.
So I'm on my third marriage. um,
2 men, 3 marriages.
2 men, 3 marriages. So, it's very interesting because that was part of my healing. When we got
Mhm,
back together again, I came in a little bit different. Now I'm
mhm,
coming in and with this
mm,
spiritual
mm,
perspective. Now I'm going deeper into my journey. Now I'm diving deeper into who I am and what happens if I let go.
mhm,
And those years were pivotal too for the healing.
mm,
So I really love the way that Allah just does
mm,
everything so beautifully.
mm,
Just the timing. We as humans, we think, oh no, by 30, like I was thinking, oh my God, my life's going to be over because I'm going to be in a divorcee at 30. And guess what? I met my now husband at 35
mm,
and he's fantastic. Mashallah. We're a really good match together. We're going on almost 8 years. And now when I look back at my 30-year-old self, I do wish I could have said, you're going to be so good.
mm.
It's just not in the way that you thought. It's just
Yeah.
not in the timeline that you thought. And
Mhm,
time to us means something, but to
mhm,
Allah, it is something else.
mhm,
And I just love understanding that. And even when I don't understand it, just allowing myself to
Mhm.
free fall into it. Even when I don't understand something, I love that I've come to a point where I can reflect on, okay, well, Allah knows, and it's going to just work out just right.
Yeah. Beautiful story. Thank you for sharing how you found hope and beauty, inspiration through the difficulties and through the hardships. Um,
Absolutely.
I'd love to talk more about healing modalities. Most people who are in this kind of world that we're in coaching and helping others, often we try out different healing modalities. Which ones have you tried? Which ones have resonated with you the most?
So for me, healing comes, I love all the modalities, right? I
Hmm.
think I think anything works, and I'm a
Hmm.
believer in throw everything at it. There's
Hmm.
not, someone's like, if that is that really going to work? I'm like, I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to try.
Hmm.
What I love about healing is that all of these modalities at some level, they just feel good.
Hmm.
They allow something to be processed. So where I'm at in my journey now is something that I think isn't talked about as often
Hmm.
is somatic healing.
Hmm.
So body
You're in the
work.
right place now. Here, Shazi, I talk a lot about somatic healing here, so excellent.
Yes, because
Tell us more about it.
our body really knows things. So again, a Desi girl growing up in the States, it's a very heady way of thinking.
Hmm.
It's all about practicality. It's all about,
Hmm.
get the good education so you can keep checking these boxes, right? I had this
Hmm.
this theme of checking boxes in my
Hmm.
life. It's a very mental
Hmm.
exercise
Hmm.
when you're checking boxes.
Hmm.
But our healing and our movement forward doesn't come from checking off
Hmm.
boxes. It comes from that deeper work, and our body actually knows the answers are in
Hmm.
our body as well.
Hmm.
And so I have found the thing that allows me to be the most connected is any sort of
Hmm.
somatic healing or somatic
Hmm.
work. So that can look like, for some people, it's breath work, right? I think at a very basic level, it can be breathing. And if you go all the way, it's dancing and movement and anything that involves your body. So for
And for
me,
you, what? Yeah, exactly.
yeah, for me, what it's been is the dance and the movement. So
Mm.
anything that incorporates that, I
Mhm.
find that I'm able to really tap into myself.
Mhm.
I can really tap into my intuition. I can
Mm.
tap into releasing things, creating big visions, like feeling and seeing the vision. That
Mhm.
comes to me when I'm in that movement. And
Mhm.
when again, it's just like letting myself go
Mhm.
because it gets me out of my head. Otherwise, I can be a very
Yeah.
heady person. I'm an engineer,
Mhm.
in my my background. So I love
Mhm.
it. I wish that we would do more of it. I think it's something still very new,
Mhm.
even as a
Mhm.
modality,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I love it. And it can be like
Mhm.
fun. It can just be in your room to a
Mhm.
song. It can be
Mhm.
if you want guidance, there's guided somatic experiences, but there's
Mhm.
so many ways to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I knew that's why we kind of vibe because I'm also very much into somatic healing, body, breath work, all of that is so powerful for people. So I'm so glad you've also brought that into your life and maybe with
Mhm.
others around you. So, what's in your toolbox then? Whenever you're noticing that your nervous system is out of whack and dysregulated, what do you pull out? What are your kind of go-to resources?
My go-to resources is definitely around breath. So
Hmm.
the longer exhale, mm, I don't know the technical term for it, but
Hmm.
you could do a count of an inhale for 3 on
Hmm.
your exhale through the mouth. You could do for a 6. I do this with
Hmm.
my clients
Hmm.
before we start our sessions, and I love that. I'll do the same thing if I find myself like, my nervous system is like out of whack or like charged or
Hmm.
whatever is coming up. I'll do that and like
Hmm.
just that I can easy, I can think about it.
Hmm.
It's done. So I'll do that. Something else that I really like, and I don't know if it's considered a modality per se, but I just feel my feelings. I
Mhm.
think it's really important to feel the feelings.
Mhm.
So I don't resist them.
Mhm.
That's something I used to do
Yeah.
before I went through all of this work is
Mhm.
I didn't want to feel the feelings. I wanted to
Mhm.
compartmentalize them and put them away because I had to like show up
Mhm.
a certain way. And now I just feel the feelings. If I'm
Mhm.
sad, I'm sad. I'm going to cry. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it. And, sometimes my husband will say, "Well, what happened?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Nothing happened. I'm just sad. It's okay. It's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be
Yeah.
happy, even. It's also like, don't feel guilty for feeling happy, right?
Yeah.
Feel all the feelings to their fullness.
Mhm.
And that acceptance of my feelings
Mhm.
is powerful because it allows me
Mm.
to be.
Mhm. Riding the waves of being human, I think we can call
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
Mm.
And the
That's beautiful.
feminine, right? The feminine is
Yeah.
very cyclical and
Mhm.
just really leaning into that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just pull from that all the time.
Mm.
I really do a check-in. And um one other tool I've been doing recently, I want to share this one. This has
Mhm.
been so good too, is I don't know, I think I saw this on Instagram somewhere, but it talked about when you wake up in the morning, you're in a theta state. And
Mhm.
again, not sure the technical terms, but you're in a theta state, which means that your subconscious and conscious, I think, are more connected. Something's happening. Anyhow, it's a great time to not just have an alarm blaring or
Mhm.
grab your phone or start the day. Right when your eyes are fluttering
Mhm.
open, it's a great time to connect to whatever it is that you're wanting to connect with. So whether that's on a spiritual level, I actually
Mhm.
learned this in my
Mhm.
spiritual path in 2010. You can actually at that moment ask Allah, like make an intention for the day.
Mhm.
Oh Allah, make my day
Mm.
XYZ, whatever you feel. So it's the moment you can connect spiritually. And just recently, what I've been doing is I tell myself, I am loved, I am
Mm.
safe, I am held. And it just starts my day off really grounded
Mm.
because you're affirming to yourself in that theta state where you're at. So it can go
Mhm.
either way. You can either tell yourself something or you can connect with
Mm.
Allah. Either one has always been very, very helpful for me.
Yep, that's really powerful, especially nowadays, since most of us are so addicted to our screens. Probably what's the first thing most of us do is we grab our phone, right? And check the
Hmm.
news, and then we get active. Our nervous system is activated immediately if we open up the news or something, right? Or look at social media and we see other people's issues and events going on around the world. So, what a better way to start the morning, right? With
Hmm.
affirmations or connecting with the divine. So, that's really
Yes.
beautiful. Great idea for other people to try out. Anything else you want to share that's in your toolbox?
The last one I'll share is forgiveness.
Mhm.
And this one was really important. So I use a modality called Ho'oponopono,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
from the Polynesian culture. It might be from others as well. I had learned this as a way to really release things.
Mhm.
So it's a great exercise to do. I'm going to just share this podcast episode
Mhm.
because it
Yeah,
talks
sure.
about it, but on my podcast, Feminine and Fulfilled, if you listen to episode 2,
Mhm.
Forgiveness, I talk
Mhm.
about it in there in
Mhm.
depth. What I love about forgiveness is it really is a modality to release and
Mm.
let go. And I find that the thing that I can hold on to are just the recurring thoughts, the recurring
Mhm.
thoughts, the recurring thoughts, or this person did something, or why did this happen to me? And there is this quote that says that resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person will die.
Mm. Mhm.
And I don't ever think I had that level of resentment,
Mhm.
to be quite honest, but I still had too many things sitting on my
Mhm.
brain, too many things that when I did forgiveness the first time, oh my gosh, it was like a weight had been lifted off my
Mhm.
shoulders. And I find that I still incorporate that. It's almost
Mm.
like it was the big thing when I first did it, but now it's more of a maintenance thing.
Mm.
And I love forgiveness because it allows me to live in the world in such a trusting way, Now, is everybody wonderful to me? No, they're not.
Mhm.
But I choose to see the world in a way that people are. And if they're not,
Mhm.
then I let it go. I don't
Yeah.
need to hold on to it. I don't need to be strong and right. And again, I'm not trying to
Mhm.
control my life.
Mhm.
I want to see the good in life and I want to be a
Mhm.
part of that. And
Mm.
forgiveness is really a great tool to allow that to happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And of course, in Islam, we also have istighfar, seeking forgiveness from Allah, right? And so it's a beautiful to take from, personally, I love learning from all the different wisdom traditions. And then it also connects back to our own tradition, right? There's nothing different. And might
Yeah.
as well make it even more fulfilling and even more rich with other traditions within
Yeah,
it.
I
So,
love that you
yeah.
reminded me of that. You're right. That's exactly like what we have.
Hmm.
SubhanAllah. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, what does it mean to be Muslim now for you? You've been this long journey from being, as you mentioned, from a traditional Desi American household with a pretty conventional approach to understanding Islam. I'm assuming from a fear-based approach. And a lot of people I've worked with, a lot of women I've worked with come from similar backgrounds. So, what does it mean now to be Muslim? What does it mean to be on the spiritual path as a Muslim, far removed from that original way of understanding Islam? I would perhaps describe what you've told me as being on a love-based Islam approach, and this is what I speak a lot about in my podcast.
Yes.
What is that like? And yeah, tell us what that's like, really, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. It's very love based. It's very much, I mean, my Islam has definitely evolved into understanding that the real gem of our spirituality and our faith is
Hmm.
actually our relationship with
Hmm.
our creator. And that is what I really focus
Hmm.
on. Again, I'm observant,
Hmm.
so I follow the things, but I'm not into the things. I'm not into the rituals. I'm not
Hmm.
into is this right or is this wrong? I'm
Hmm.
sort of over the halal and haram.
Hmm.
Ultimately, Allah who created the heavens and the universe, I don't think is worried about, your nail polish.
Hmm.
Okay? Like I'll just use that example because people can talk ad nauseum
It's a
about
big
nail
one, and
polish.
people they're always looking for
Yeah.
fatwas, and yeah.
Yeah. And like we're looking to somebody to give us a ruling on something. And look, here's what I love. There's something that Sidi Yahya wrote this had said once.
Yahya wrote this,
Hmm.
or mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
So he had said that there are, you know how we talk about the straight path, right? Surah
mhm,
Fatiha, the straight path
mhm,
to,
mhm,
that we need to follow the straight path. He said, we all have a straight path, but it's different. It's unique for
mhm,
each of us.
mhm,
And that really landed for me.
mhm,
So for some people, they really appreciate the clarity in the rules. They're very
mhm,
scrupulous. They want to make sure they're not getting
mhm,
anything wrong. And I love that for
mhm,
them.
mhm,
And for somebody like me who is more free spirited, that's not going to work.
mhm.
What
Yeah.
works is this feeling of Allah is with me. So it's for
Mm,
me, it's definitely shifted into a deep relationship.
mhm,
It's shifted from feeling that Allah is like a schoolmaster, because that's
mhm,
how I used to see Allah as a male schoolmaster.
mhm,
I feel Allah is very maternal.
mm,
There's a feminine. I mean, we know that
mhm,
Allah is, has the masculine and the feminine
mhm,
attributes, right? The 99 names that we know of. I really feel into that. I
mhm,
feel that like being held, being taken care of, being
mhm,
understanding. Allah is my friend.
mhm,
You know, that is where I'm at
mhm,
today. And it does have me sometimes raising an eyebrow at things that I
mhm,
did grow up with traditionally,
mhm,
wondering, what, like, I need to know a little bit more about that. Is that really true? You know?
mhm,
And it definitely has me feeling very jarred and annoyed when more of the cultural norms come in where
mhm,
women have to be in a completely separate space. That's not a part of our
mhm,
sunnah or our example from the Prophet
mhm,
sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or things that really put women in a less than position. Again,
mhm,
not a part of our faith, but yet there's plenty of cultural norms that make
Mhm.
that happen. So I find myself definitely openly saying I love following more of a Sufi path. I mean,
Mhm.
I haven't joined any,
Mhm.
tariqa or group or anything like that. But before I used to feel embarrassed, like, don't say I'm Sufi, but I am. Uh,
Mhm.
Being Sufi is also part of our deen, the tasawwuf.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I definitely feel more spiritual and I
Mhm.
feel really comfortable with that. And I'm still continuing to evolve.
Yeah.
I'm still continuing to evolve and I'm open to that and I'm
Mhm.
curious about it. And I know that my constant will always be Allah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And it's that curiosity that keeps someone like you keep on looking and exploring, allowing yourself to see what else is out there, to look into other traditions, to see what benefit you can bring into your own tradition. It's so rich what you've
Hmm.
shared. As I mentioned before, I work with a lot of, as particular women who are having raised that halal haram dichotomy, who really want to go towards this love-based Islam, but they find it so difficult because the guilt is so strong. What do you tell people who are struggling with the fact that they know this love-based Islam is true for them, but this guilt won't go away? They can't remove it
Yeah.
from their conscious.
Yeah, there's a lot of unraveling that has to
Mhm.
happen. When I first started on my journey too,
Mhm.
so my spiritual journey was in 2010, and I would say my personal growth
Mhm.
journey, right? Like the finding myself
Mhm.
really started in 2013.
Mhm.
So they were happening at the same
Mhm.
time. And I was very afraid. I was
Mhm.
very afraid that if I
Mhm.
went on this personal growth journey, that I would actually lose my faith. That
Mhm.
was my biggest
Mhm.
concern. And I didn't want to do that.
Mhm.
And so I found myself being very called
Mhm.
to this journey. I was starting to get training as a coach too. And learning these modalities we were talking about
Mhm.
earlier and going to events that I'd
Mhm.
never seen anything like it. And
Mhm.
thinking, oh my God, is this shirk? Is this
Mhm.
wrong? Is this allowed? And what I learned over time is that I allowed myself to start trusting myself.
Mm. I love that.
I don't have like a specific thing to do or
Mhm.
not do because
Mhm.
everybody has to go through
Mhm.
it themselves. I mean, I can be on this side being like, of course, it's great. It's wonderful to be on this side. Yes, it
Trusting
is.
yourself. Trusting
Yeah,
yourself,
but
trusting your intuition, your inner wisdom is leading you to a good place.
exactly. It's about trusting that I knew enough. I had
Mhm.
enough faith to understand if something was going beyond what I thought
Mhm.
was okay,
Mhm.
that I could not
Mhm.
participate or I could pull back.
Mhm.
And then allowing myself also to be open to things that,
Mhm.
yeah, you know what? Maybe I wouldn't, maybe if like I was standing in a community of Muslims, they might think I'm weird, but will Allah think this is weird?
Mhm. Mhm.
No. So being open to new things, it
Mhm.
helped expand my heart in
Mm.
so many ways. And it had me connecting with Allah in a deeper
Mm.
and deeper way. And that's a piece, again, if you trust yourself
Mhm.
and you also ask Allah, I definitely would ask Allah all the time, please make sure I'm doing things right. I still do that. Allah will make things clear as well.
Mhm.
So it is good to start exploring. It is good to move out of the halal haram
Mhm.
framework because if you don't, what I have seen is when women get stuck in that place that
Mhm.
where you're talking about and they
Mhm.
don't allow themselves to explore that more
Mhm.
spirituality, that love, what happens is they start losing faith.
Mhm.
And that becomes a more slippery slope.
Mhm.
It's actually better for you to explore that
Mhm.
love based Islam, that more spiritual place, than to not and
Mhm.
then continue to be disillusioned, upset, not connecting at all, because Allah wants us to turn back. So you can't make any
Mhm.
mistake that you can't turn back from.
Mhm.
If that helps you to say, okay, let me like learn or try, then I mean, I've always seen it be very expansive for
Yeah.
myself and for other women to move
Yeah.
that way.
That's really useful. And I'm definitely going to share this episode with people who have these issues. And I really want them to hear how someone like you has been able to transcend those often we say problematic approaches and lack of love in religion. Right. So it's beautiful to
Hmm.
see that it's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that if we push ourselves a little bit further out of the envelope. I love what you
Yes.
said that, you know, what other Muslims think about us doesn't matter. It's what God thinks about us that really matters to him.
Yes. Yes. And I just think
Yeah.
Allah is like, you're doing great. I just feel like that. You're fine. You're good.
Yeah.
And if you need to like say that to yourself
Mhm,
or hear me saying that or
mhm.
whatever it takes, like
Yeah.
you are doing great. For
Yeah.
anybody listening, you're doing great. The fact that you
Mhm,
even think at this level,
mhm,
if you're reflecting at this level
mhm,
and you are in that much of a relationship that you you don't want to do the wrong thing, that's
mhm,
beautiful. That already tells me
mhm.
like you're not going to do anything wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And as we wrap up, what pearls of wisdom would you like to leave with listeners, that kind of life lessons, things that you find really essential to living a good life, a fulfilled life?
That's a great question. So my, my pearl of wisdom would be to be open.
Mhm,
I think that this is something that was missing
mhm,
in religion for me.
mhm,
Um, organized religion can be, and not just Islam, but in general, can be so, this is the way, again, the
mhm,
rules, and this is how you do, and
mhm,
this is what you believe, and this is what you don't believe, and
mhm,
this is, you know what? I just believe in being open.
mhm,
Again, if we are to just look, all you have to do is go outside and like I'm looking at the clouds right now through the
mhm,
window. If Allah created all that we can see with our naked eye, and we believe there to be even more beyond that, and we believe in our Lord that we don't see, but we trust is there listening, then let's not be closed off to things. Let's
mhm,
continue to be open because there's so many things that we don't understand, so many things that we don't know.
mm,
And it can be very delightful to be open and to be curious.
mm,
It's a different paradigm than what we've learned,
mhm.
but Allah will show you like beautiful signs. And yeah, it's delightful. It's delightful to just pay attention to those.
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you, Shazia. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this show. Could you tell listeners if they want to look you up, if they want to find you online, where can they find you in the online world?
I am everywhere. So my website is thelifeengineer.com. I'm on Instagram at the Life Engineer. I'm on Facebook at Shazia TLE, as in the Life Engineer.
Hmm.
And also, please tune into my podcast, Feminine and Fulfilled.
Excellent. Thank you. And it's been wonderful. And if you look into the show notes, you'll also find all these links copied into the show notes. So thank you, Shazia.
Thank you, Rose.
Oops. Don't leave the meeting. Just have to edit this out.